Podtacular 343, Evolution of Grifball, for February 2nd, 2013.
Hello everybody, welcome to Podtacular, the unofficial Halo Universe podcast. I'm your host, Duststorm, and today we're going to be diving a little bit deeper into Grifball. So on our last episode, we talked about how there was an interview with Bernie Burns from Rooster Teeth Productions, who was actually one of the founders of Grifball. And I actually have someone here with me today to dive a little bit deeper into the nitty-gritty details of Grifball. And she is over from the National Grifball Association, and she is SquirrelBurrito.
Oh yeah, that's me. Hello everybody. Hope you're ready for some Grifball talk.
Well, that's what we're here for. We're dedicating a show to Grifball, and we're actually going to be dedicating another show to Grifball to kind of cover the maps and the changes that have happened on the game type level for the specific stuff in Halo 4. But I want to kind of give us a little bit of history of yourself, SquirrelBurrito. Kind of tell us how you got involved with NGA, what role do you play, how you got involved with Halo. Give us a little background story to who you are, since this is your first time on our show.
Alright, will do. I've been a lifelong gamer, starting with my 2600 and my NES, and I never really stopped. When I met the person who was going to become my husband, one of the things we did was play Halo 2 all night. Every night, it seemed like. That was sort of like a trial moving in period almost, because I wouldn't leave because we would be playing together. And it was some of the most fun times of my life. I have people on my friends list that I still can't delete. I haven't played with them since Halo 2. It was a great experience for me, and I enjoyed that game just so ridiculously much. And then, one fateful Thursday, I would guess, in Halo 3, it was a double XP weekend, and there was this thing called Grifball, and that instituted a policy of, once a month or so, we weren't really going to be sleeping for the course of a weekend, and you got to get out, your big girl panties and your big boy pants and all that stuff, and it was ridiculous. We wouldn't leave that playlist for anything. We would stock up on food, and the delivery people would know, and they'd expect us to call once a month, and it was a great life for a while. It was just, we had awesome friends, we had great times, and then very shortly thereafter, I found out that we were expecting our first daughter. So we kind of dialed back on the Halo time, and kind of dialed back on the not sleeping and being the rabid gamer type thing. And, that was all well and good. And then our first daughter, Nola, was born in June of 2008. And we started a family tradition of when we came home from the hospital, plopped down on the couch, stuck the baby on my lap, loaded up Halo 3, hopped in a Warthog, and little babies, they can grip, right from day one. And she had that right thumbstick, and she was helping me, and she totally got some assists on some Warthog kills. And
nice.
Yeah, and we did that with our second daughter too, 4 years later. And it was just, we're a Halo family. We enjoy playing games together. We enjoy the experience and the friends. My daughters have dozens of uncles and cousins, that, some we may never meet, and, some we see from time to time. And it's a really great thing. We've just met wonderful people and had the most amazing time. Halo has the best community out there for any game I've ever seen. And, it's really a part of our lives. But, to go back to 2008, first-time parents, we, sort of did the overdoing it thing, and even let our gold accounts lapse for a year or two even. And it wasn't until I saw a Black Friday flyer for Reach that it was a 2-for-1 special, because my husband and I, we each have an Xbox, and we will not split screen. We are spoiled brats. So it's two of everything.
I can agree and vouch for that completely.
Yeah, it's, it is what it is. We're, I guess, stuck up, but it was a great 2-for-1 deal. They were half price, so I went out in the cold and got in the line and grabbed Reach, and I got out of there pretty quickly because oh my God, Black Friday, that's a whole other topic. But
Yeah, I don't like Black Friday for some specific reasons.
yeah, more of a Cyber Monday person, but I mean, that's my love
Yep.
for Halo right there. And even more challenging was not saying a word to my husband and keeping those wrapped up under the tree until Christmas. And it was a big surprise, and we were extremely excited to get back into the Halo world. We had played on and off when our accounts were still gold, and it wasn't the same as what we had been doing. And so it was just like opening this door, like sort of to your childhood almost, just great times, and they're coming back, and it was great. And I think we first got to play on like the 27th, and we haven't stopped again since. We were lucky in a way because we came back, and then the Grifball playlist dropped in Reach very shortly thereafter, and we hit the ground running, and we hooked up with old friends, and we made awesome new friends. And it was around that time that we played in our first Grifball League, and we didn't really know what we were doing, and we had no idea what League Grifball meant. We had missed the entire spectacle that was Halo 3 Grifball. If you ask anybody that played Halo 3, it's just, the good old days. It is untouchable. And I'm very sad that I didn't get to experience that, but I feel like I've played Halo 3 Grifball vicariously through the memories of some really colorful people in our community. There's a lot of great stories out there. I'm not going to really go down this road because it'll get ugly quickly, but I mean, Halo 3 League Grifball was, kind of like an underground sort of fight club thing. There were just crazy things going on at every turn. You had these wild characters playing, and trash talk was, basically encouraged, and it was a rough and tumble thing, and it was great. And it had definitely been toned down by the time we joined the leagues in Reach, but that was fine. It was still, a good experience, and it was a lot of fun, and everything was going well, and we played with different people and different friends, and then certain things started to happen within the community, and our friends weren't necessarily having the best time playing anymore, or this or that, and it just became a sad but semi-common occurrence to see our friends kind of drop off of live for a while, pull the "I'm never playing Grifball again" card, and it was very frustrating to us, and there's a whole laundry list of things that I could go into, but it's not the time or place necessarily for that. But we had some things that we disagreed with too, and in the end, this is nice that I get to skip up like 2 years here by just kind of it's a nice ellipse. But we in May one night we're with 2 friends in Halo Reach matchmaking and having fun and laughing and talking about things, and I believe it was actually one of our admins, Boss Tycoon, who, said we should run a league. We can do this. We've been around the game. We love the game. We have all these ideas. We should just do it. And with 2 long-standing established leagues already in the game, it was definitely a daunting task, and it was something we probably should have thought about, sat back. But I mean, into that night as the sun was rising, we had a name, we had plans, and we had the site registered a few days later, and then we were live. And I mean, really, we haven't really stopped since then. We've run 3 back-to-back-to-back leagues with no breaks, or seasons rather, not leagues, I'm sorry. Tons of events, lots of really creative things brought to us by community members. We've made friends with a ton of great Halo communities out there that, maybe aren't Grifball fanatics like we are, but they love coming out every once in a while, every couple of months, and just having a crazy Grifball night. And, we love that. We really put a focus on interacting with the rest of the Halo community to kind of show them, why we are the way we are and why we don't leave this playlist, and, why we're okay with playing Halo without guns. Because to the people that are really in there with Grifball, it's a way of life. They say catch the disease, and it really does feel like that sometimes. It totally gets a hold of you.
It's a
But
very different way to play Halo.
definitely. It kills me when I go back. I was doing really well, or at least for me, in Halo 4 with, no playlist, and I was shooting things again, and it was, relearning how to throw a grenade properly and things like that. And I was so I might be making myself sound a little bit worse than I actually am, but really, we play so much Grifball. You go and you're like, wait, I have a gun and I don't have, infinite cap on this, and I'm gonna run out of bullets. Like, well, this isn't right. And obviously a large map with natural objects and stuff, that's sort of foreign to us. But um,
Already, you just kind of spilled your guts out there.
yeah, I know. I'm trying to think, like, how do I follow that up? Like, I just admitted I'm a terrible Halo player, and I'm a
Well, I don't
weirdo.
think so.
Playlist, and I didn't know how to follow that one up. But I mean, seriously, it really feels like that. It just, at some point it switches over, and Halo becomes more about Grifball than it is about Halo. And it's a really great game, and it's affected a lot of people, my friends and my colleagues, in the same way. And it's just, we have a lot of fun. We have a good time, and we would love to show everybody who thinks that, it's a waste of time or a boosting playlist. We would say, come give us a shot, come play with us for a little bit, and see what you think at the end of the night.
It's very competitive.
It is very competitive, especially when you get toward the league aspect of it. The things that go down still to this day, even with the toned down, rules and suggested ways to act, we'll say.
Etiquette.
Etiquette, yes, that would be a good vocabulary word. I don't normally think of etiquette with Grifball. I mean, it really is like that in the leagues. There might be a Grificate or something like that. But I mean, there are teams that have been going head to head now, or at least, the bulk of their rosters for 5 years. Grifball celebrated its 5th birthday back in December, and it feels like the blink of an eye, but in 5 years you can get, it's like some Red Sox Yankees kind of stuff going on. Even you have your perennial winners and the people who never quite get there, and you have people who hate each other and people who will double cross each other still, and it's a very interesting little world. I often say that it's kind of like a soap opera. We definitely have a very vibrant and constantly changing and evolving community, and it could definitely be intimidating. I could see that, for someone just coming into it. But I mean, I'll put out the disclaimer: we're not as bad as we all sound.
Okay.
Sort of ego boosting quality. There's just something about it. We all got a little chip on our shoulder or something.
Right.
But I mean, the bulk of the community is the greatest people that you could ever meet, who just spend countless hours making sure that a rectangular court is absolutely perfect in every aspect, and taking time to go through every one of the damage modifiers and health modifiers to try and find the perfect balance for a game type. The people who are really in there, they really truly love the game, and it shows. We definitely, we might seem a little cliquey sometimes, sort of, but it's not like that at all. We are definitely part of the Halo community, and we love the rest of the Halo community, and we will totally leave the Grifball playlist to go and shoot things with you, but you are going to need a large backpack, most likely.
All right.
Kids in Grifball, I won't lie. There's some people that are pretty just badass all around. But
so I kind of see Grifball as it's not quite on the level of popularity of, like, say, MLG, but
yeah,
but there's definitely the aspect to Grifball where you have these teams that have developed over the years, and like you said, Grifball turned 5 back in December, and there's this teams that build up and they're closely knit, and then there's rivalries that are everywhere. And I mean, I see like AGLA, there's NGA, there's a Grifball Hub, so there's multiple communities out there, and it's just like each one of these different leagues have something unique to take back from it. And it's just interesting to see, while it's not as big as MLG in competitive gaming, it's like all these, everything that you see happening in the realm of Grifball for Halo is kind of indicative of the same characteristics of the competitive side of Halo. So I have a feeling if this were to be like professionally picked up by someone, this could be something as big as MLG.
Oh, I totally believe in that. I am a follower of that logic. It is definitely very competitive, and since the NGA has come about, I've done a lot of streaming of some really great games of some of these veteran teams that are just, amazing, really. And it's fun to watch. I've never once minded or gotten bored or wanted to stop streaming a game that went, say over an hour. You can really get into it, even if, I know some people have their moms come watch sometimes and things like that. And, there are some that are like into the game, I have a friend whose dad is kind of like a backseat driver for him. And when he's playing, he'll critique him and, hey, why didn't you sword that guy over there? What are you thinking? Where Oh, and oh, wow, you just wow, that was great. You got through all of them. You matchmaking those kids, son. I'm proud. And
Oh boy.
yep. Well, that's Papa and Hale. That'll be shout out number 1, I guess. Papa and Hale's a pretty cool dude. But it definitely, you definitely catch a lot of the stigma that, Grifball is a joke, or it couldn't possibly be competitive on the level that MLG is. And honestly, sometimes I would rather go out into Slayer matchmaking and match up against an MLG team than I would want to go into the Grifball playlist and match up against one of these pro teams. It can get pretty intense, and everybody is just so passionate that, things drive you and keep going, and it is definitely worth a shot. If you are a competitive Halo player, you might think it's funny or something like that, but give it a try, and I can almost guarantee you that you will catch the disease, and you'll start realizing it, 4 or 5 in the morning when you haven't slept and you have to get up for work in an hour that, maybe this Grifball thing has something to it. I would just say, give it a shot. It is definitely, it's not quite the rough and tumble world that it was in Halo 3, but if you want it to be, it can be. You can definitely still have a grudge match, and there are clutch stops and clutch betrayals, and there are highs and lows, back and forth in the game, and it can be like watching football, or it can be like watching basketball, or it can be like watching whatever sport you're into. You can, if you enjoy something like that, you can definitely enjoy Grifball as that kind of experience, as like a team sport, because that's really what it is. It's just kind of in Halo. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't want it to go anywhere. It is, I think by this point, it's become popular enough in the general Halo community that everybody is at least aware of it, and it's not going anywhere. And it may not be your cup of tea, but it is definitely a viable, healthy, and good part of the Halo experience. It is, just something I'm really thankful every day that I picked it up obsessively and never let it go.
It's definitely one of those, it's kind of a niche in a way. It's not as much since it's kind of an official game type now, and more people are getting into it. But for a while, especially back in Halo 3, it was definitely one of those things where if you weren't that aware of it or weren't into the idea of Grifball, then it wasn't something that you really went out to go do.
Oh, for sure.
And now it's just kind of blown up. You have people that play it almost as kind of a profession, with all these teams that have developed, and watching some of these games is just ridiculous. Seeing that they go on for hours on end sometimes is mind-boggling. In a way, it's I see it more of a sport than competitive like MLG, ALG, or AGL sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, and this isn't as indicative in Halo 4 as it was in Halo 3 and Halo Reach, but when it comes to the competitive stuff, there was a lot of individualism when it came to the competitive side. So you could have a really good one player on a team who could dominate the other team, and then have 3 other people maybe not as good for something like capture the flag and oddball. And I think with how they've modified Halo 4 from the old game style, with having it when you pick up the flag, you're committed to it, you can't drop it, and that kind of stuff. I think that thing encourages a lot more teamwork. But Grifball, from the get-go, you have to work as a team or else you're not really winning at all.
Oh, for sure.
So Grifball is kind of more of a team sport in some regards over competitive Halo.
Yeah, sometimes you can rely on that one person, with either the great connection or who's pulling host to throw the entire team on his back and lead you to victory. There are some people that have perfected the art of going into matchmaking and grabbing the ball, jumping over the other team, and instantly scoring it. There are a few ways where you can still be, a superstar or something like that in Grifball, but for the most part, especially in Halo 4 now with the ball physics, and the passing game is absolutely huge. There are, teams practice different ways of throwing the ball, different, they're running routes basically. It's kind of like a football playbook at this point. They have their plays. It has definitely changed the game. It was something that a lot of us kind of held our breath and we weren't too sure about, and it definitely has taken Grifball from what it was to something completely different that you can't necessarily compare. But in a way, it is good because it has increased that team factor even more and given you more opportunities with which to interact with your team. And I mean, there are just so many different things you can do. People have, launching has been there from Halo 3 right from the beginning, and getting that perfect launch and the perfect setup for it, and calling the right code word at the right moment. It is, it's a very involved thing. It does, require practice or a lot of luck, and it shows. The teams that really, have a philosophy and have played together for years now, you can see it in the way they play. It's like they almost just play as one, person sort of. And no, I'm not calling anybody out for cheating either, but, it's just people really put the effort into it, and you can see it come back in the way they play. Grifball over time has definitely become not so much just mashing your trigger and killing everything with your hammer to, a very highly intelligent and involved team sport. Like you were saying, it's one of those things where it's so simple that anybody can pick it up and play. But to truly understand Grifball, I'm not sure that even the most highly regarded people in our community, you could actually sign off and say like they know everything. They have figured out this puzzle. It's bigger than that. There are so many things like that in the world, but I'm pretty sure Grifball belongs in that group with the rest of them. It's a special thing.
I firmly believe that too. It's one of those kind of brilliant ideas that you just rarely see, and thankfully it happened with Halo.
Oh yeah, we are so lucky to have that in here, and the fact that 343 has supported it and put such a focus and emphasis on it, that is really that kind of validates all of the people who have been here, running custom lobbies when there wasn't a playlist, or waiting 3.5 weeks, just to make sure that the announcement was good and you were getting your Grifball and everything was going to be okay. Make sure everybody's going to be home, and tell all your girlfriends, like, just don't even bother calling. Yeah, well, it does happen, believe me. I have heard some things in my day through party chat. There are definitely, you could have like the Real Housewives of Grifball if we wanted to go down that route. is not always easy for our guys to go and play, but they do. And, hopefully, I don't think Grifball has really ruined any relationship yet. I don't see how it could. You just get into a custom one-on-one workout, any problem you got.
Well, and while it's kind of competitive in nature, or it has become competitive, there's still kind of just the fun aspect that at the root of Grifball.
Definitely. When you're playing it just feels fun. Grifball is one of those things where I can get into a party with people I don't even know, and we'll set a party of 4, and we'll say we're going to play a couple of games, and then we're going to do so and so, or we're going to actually go to sleep, and the next thing you know, it's 4 hours later, and you've been laughing. And Grifball supports great conversation within a group of people. Even if you're not talking about the game the whole time, there's just something about the flow of the game. There's the rounds to kind of set your conversation and start on the next topic sort of thing, and it's just absolutely perfect for having a good time with other people. And that's definitely one of my favorite parts of the game. I mean, I've been all over the different corners of the Grifball world by this point. I've played with the most respected Halo 3 veterans. I have played with outright stat patters, and that's something actually with our league that we, it's not that we turn a blind eye. We're more of the mindset that if you pay $60 for a game and you are not breaking any rules, then we have no right to tell you how you can play. But there is definitely in the community a giant fracture between, those two groups of people that I just mentioned, for instance.
Yeah.
And, it kind of speaks to Grifball being, a universally great sport, because you can have these people who are equally passionate about the game in completely different black and white ways, but both would, spend their time, putting it into maps, putting it into practice, putting it into making game types and other fun variants. And it has really been an eye-opening experience to kind of take that stance and get to know all these different people and why they play Grifball that way, or why they feel this way about Grifball. Everybody has their own little backstory, but in the end, everybody is just, they found something that they really truly enjoy. And, whether or not some of them like to, try and make kids upset while they play, it is what it is. It's Halo. That's going to happen anyway. And that is definitely a dangerous tangent to go on, that stat padding thing. So I'm going to change my subject here. So.
All right. And another thing is, Grifball is just such just so far from the norm of what Halo typically is. It's just kind of a nice refresh to the game. And I kind of feel that racing is the same way, and I know people have been complaining for a while since Halo 4 came out, where's the racing game type? And talking with people, it's definitely something that they're going to try to do, if they can do it. If it's possible to get race in Halo 4, they're going to find a way to do it.
Oh, I would love to have race back in the game. That is one of those special little things that made Halo special, all this time, that we had the option to do that when really...
Because that was one of the things I was in from day one. Race was in Halo 1.
Yeah, and in a game like Halo, why would you ever expect something like that, or even ask for something like that? But you know what? It was there, and it was just amazing. And, I mean, it really speaks to the whole idea of Halo from day one anyway. Like, there was really... It was such a great community right off the bat for, collaboration and being able to share your files and, theater mode and just all these options that even allowed something like Grifball to be born in the first place. It just, for me personally, it validates and speaks to why I will be a Halo fangirl forever. You will not see a Call of Duty in my hand, I promise. Just mostly because it costs a lot of money to buy 2 copies of every game we want to play. But
that's true. Yeah.
I mean, I have been happy with Halo since, the first time I played it. And, sometimes I disagree with things. Sometimes I think things could be better. And, we all do that. And sometimes the servers crash and we all get very upset. But that's life in an online game. And, I see myself playing Halo I see myself having a Grifball team with my kids here in a couple of years when they're old enough to hold the controller properly. It is a part of my life, and I guess at this point I should probably drop the fact that our second daughter, who's going to be one, yeah, she's going to turn one in just under 2 months now. Her name is legitimately, legally Cortana, and we love that. And it was just something we said offhand in the hospital, and the doctors and nurses just, they clearly had never played Halo because they had these blank looks on their faces, but they said, "Oh, that is so beautiful." And I mean, Halo has been such an important part of our lives. It helped grow my personal relationship, and my marriage. It is what we do together. We don't have a bowling league or, a bar we go out to or anything like that. We have Halo, and we have a great community of friends, and I would even call most of them family at this point. And, it is definitely, especially with taking on the responsibilities of a league, it has tested our strengths and helped us find new ones, and, allowed us to work with even more awesome people. And I mean, the bottom line is just Halo really is awesome. We are all smart people for being in the Halo universe. We are universe.
He is really, really a great part to be of. Just everyone that I've been able to make contacts with just through the podcast and other relationships. It's just amazing the kind of people, the imagination, the talent, the passion for the franchise, and to see how, just to see the different personalities that just shine through some of the members of this community. It's just incredible to see something like that come from a video game of all things.
Definitely, you're completely right. You have all sorts of people, all walks of life, and they all come together and play this game. And, you meet people that you would never think that you'd have a chance to meet. And, you end up finding a new team or group of people, and you find out, that you're all wildly similar. And so many of these people that run these communities and do the podcasts and are out at the conventions, they, in my experience, most of them have been, the greatest people that you could ever hope to meet, and for the most part, they're always accessible and, willing to reach out. And, we as a Halo community, we do charity things, it is something that I am just incredibly proud to be a part of. It is really a special thing, and I'm not sure that there are too many other games or series out there that can lay claim to anything quite like what we have. I mean, there are definitely a few, but it's a very, very, very special little world we have. Thank you, Master Chief, for protecting it.
So let's I think we've kind of gotten a little sappy enough, kind of reminiscing on how great Halo is and everything, but let's get down to some of the nitty-gritty statistics. So I believe I asked you to pull some stats for people participating in the Grifball playlist since it got released about 2 weeks ago from this recording. So do you have those numbers for us?
I do have the numbers for week 1, and I love saying it because it's been a long time since I've been able to say it, but the numbers I have here are from Halo Charts, which is back up, not in a state as it used to be, but Firestream has worked some magic and given us some really beautiful, colorful graphs that are easy to see and work with, and it was just incredibly easy to find this for you. But on the 28th, on the debut, the high playlist total was 16,000 people, or just over, and it dipped to just over 9,000. That was the lowest of the day. So no matter when you went
to play, that's pretty good.
You had 10,000 people, ready to hammer you in the face, which is pretty awesome. But it didn't dip as low through today as the lowest total was. It hasn't dropped under 10,000 in population, according to this graph, for a high population, and it hasn't dropped lower than 1,000 for a low population. So, I mean, comparatively, since you can so easily see all the totals, I know that I have personally been checking every time I'm party leader, and what I've noticed is pretty consistently Grifball has been right behind, well, not necessarily right behind, but um, just a little bit behind Big Team, and usually tied or just a little bit above in population regular Slayer and SWAT, which to me has just been incredible. I mean, it was never like that in Reach, and I know a lot of people have been begging for the Grifball playlist since launch, and clearly they came out and played a lot.
Yeah.
I haven't had any trouble finding games. I'm not necessarily a fan of the joining in progress. It has broken up my party a lot. It might be something hopefully down the road that could change, but I mean that's a game-wide thing. It's something we've never had to deal with in Grifball, obviously, and it's interesting. We'll leave it at that. It's interesting, but it's been a pretty good experience overall. We've had not too many technical issues as far as playing. Some.
Well, I have seen cases where just the networking code of Halo just kind of breaks the game sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, my husband here, he was kind enough to continue working on the site while I went and played my first matchmaking games here a few days ago. And when he came to play his first game with me, we get in the lobby and we search and we load a game, and before it even loads, it actually bricked his console, and he just looked at me and he said, "Why doesn't Halo 4 Grifball like me?"
So red ring and everything?
Yeah, we had to actually pull the power out of the 360. It was one of those that you can't even power off by pressing the button. It was just it's ominous, but it has been good for the most part. There are definitely some things that need to be worked out, and I know there's already plans to update some of them. Some little things with maps and whatnot. But as far as coming out in the launch, there's something for everybody. There's 2 wildly different game types offered, which I'm sure you'll get into more when you talk to the people that worked on that. Our league is not a part of any decision-making process. We just get to play the game when it's given to us. So I can't really speak to any of that, but I've noticed that people are, either rabid fans of one type or the other, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the future, because a lot of those people are also calling out for, hey, we should just have one of these game types. But we'll see. It will be interesting to see what develops, and hopefully, I mean, given those numbers, I would really like to go out on a limb and assume that the playlist is going to stick around past Sunday into hopefully the very distant future. That's what I would personally like.
Well, I think they said in the bulletin that it's going to stay.
Yeah, I believe the wording was cautious, at least the way I read it, because this is my baby playlist, and I don't happen to it, but hopefully it will be sticking around, and they'll make the little bug fixes or whatever they might be. And I mean, I haven't really heard from not necessarily the tight-knit Grifball community, but the people that are in the playlist. I haven't heard anything other than them having a great time, and that's really all that matters. And at the end of the day, it can be competitive, it can be stressful, it can be exciting and everything, but the bottom line is, if you're not having fun in Grifball, then you are at that point where you're too tired and you have to go to bed. Else you'll sleep playing, and that's never good.
Yeah, I'm waiting for them to actually make the move to make kind of like team objective playlist, and then the big team objective playlist, to where they can actually have a few more of the playlist people want. So people have been wanting team doubles for a while. There's people that want team snipers back. Once race gets implemented in the Halo 4, which it probably will at some point down the road, people are going to want a racing playlist.
Yeah.
And with Spartan Ops taking up 5 of those slots, they're really limited to what they can put on there. So they really need to be smart about combining the current playlists into suitable alternatives, and then having the other ones that people really want, the more kind of social fun playlists, be added into the rotations as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, now that Grifball's there, you have to actually scroll out of the list of game types, when you're searching, and that it's definitely a lot out there, and you can kind of see it diluting some of the other playlists, like that poor Crimson DLC. But I mean, you said big team objective, and that would be that's definitely on my wish list, and that is one thing I hear a lot about. And I would love to see an objective type playlist. Losing Assault, that was a tough one for me to deal with, but the world will go on. We'll find other ways to blow things up. There are plenty of explosives in Halo.
It's just Halo is one of those games where it would be nice to have some of the older style Halo stuff be just brought along and just have the ability to have it there, even if it's not necessarily in matchmaking. So the assault game types, the bomb stuff, the one-sided bomb,
Oh, definitely.
that would be something that even if you just supplied it for custom games, not even worry about doing it in matchmaking if that's not the way you want to go, but having that ability for players to go and kind of relive a classic experience in a new map, then I think that's kind of one of those things people that play Halo kind of hang on to.
Definitely. I every time I come across somebody who calls themselves a remakes forger in one sense of the word or another, the first thing I always say to them is Flag Wars, Waterworks, please. That was just like a random map and a random game type in Halo 2, and I've never forgotten it. It has always been my favorite. It has always been incredible, and I would kill to have that back. Well, I guess we all kill in Halo, or at least
or
but,
Smash.
Yeah, or smash enemies, score goals. But the assault thing actually really shook the Grifball community in a few different ways. I mean, we have the ball now instead with complete properties. It would be amazing for us, I don't know, maybe you'd call us purists in this case, to be able to have, the good old classic heavy assault bomb and, not have to worry about watching for the cross-court pass every time.
Well, one of the things I really enjoyed about the older Grifball style was just the massive explosion at the end and having everyone blow up.
Definitely. I mean, that's the whole point. You got to take Griff out, and now Griff, he lives afterwards. And, that is kind of a weird feeling every time you plant the bomb and you just kind of walk away. The explosion has always been synonymous with the Grifball experience. And just, one other thing, I mean, one pet peeve of Grifball people that you will get every time is that we want our bomb kill medal, and we want it now, the bomb stop. We haven't had the bomb stop medal since Halo 3, and yeah, that would just be absolutely amazing. That used to, it would validate you as a defensive player, and it was just another way to rate your performance and, see what kind of, skills you had and things like that. And I missed that a lot. And I'm not sure necessarily why. I don't have a straight answer as to why that went away, but, it would be really great to see that again someday. Especially where we have my new favorite medal, the comeback kill, or the wow, you're doing terrible. Like, that is the worst to get. Oh,
well, it's not. I mean, it's only after 3 deaths in a row, so it's really not.
Oh, that's pretty easy to do.
Yeah, so I don't think that's really an accurate determination of how well you're doing.
Not true. I mean, there are so
even
many.
In normal Halo, that's still kind of, especially with big team, with how random stuff can be. The comeback medals is common, very common.
Yeah, it definitely is. Everybody, or most everybody, picks up 1 or 2 in a general game. It seems from looking at stats. It's a weird thing. It's definitely become kind of a joke. And also another thing that I've heard as a little pet peeve with our community is the kill from the grave. You can get a kill from the grave with the hammer, with the sword, and with punching someone with something you're holding in your hand.
Yeah, and that's the whole netcode thing, which I mean, not to like rat out 343 on what they did, but we even had some of these issues in the Halo Reach netcode, and you would think after testing, because it worked fine in Halo 3, but then Halo Reach and Halo 4, the multiplayer networking capabilities just aren't there. I mean,
Yeah,
it works when all the connections are great, but even when connections seem great and everyone seems like they're doing okay, there's small differences. Like, I'll go from one Grifball game to another, where one, I'm completely wrecking one team, and then the other, I'm pretty much swinging at the exact same time, yet I am dying before I can even see the other person swing his hammer.
on your screen, exactly.
Right.
Grifball has always been very, very host dependent. When you get to the league side of things, if you have an important game, you want to find someone to neutral host that for you. And it was actually a really lucky thing. One of our main forgers, Dr. Chaos, when he made a court like the night the game released, and it was beautiful. And he used a bunch of colorful panels, and it was named Chaos Cathedral, and it really did look like a cathedral in there. And he had a bunch of those yellow shield doors on the sides, the walls, and just playing around in there, testing it, making sure it wasn't broken, we found that we could smash those doors, and it looked really cool. But in every game, there was one guy that couldn't smash the door. And so knowing who the habitual host pullers have been in Grifball so far, we've been able to determine that if you load a game, another community member, Crusader, he's made a map where he just has a bunch of shield doors, and that is currently the common host check that we use. And everybody goes up to a door and smashes it, and if you smash it, you're not the host, and the neutral host is the guy that's swinging his hammer at the door, and it just will not go away. So that was an incredibly lucky, like, first night thing, and I'm so thankful that we have a cool little way. It looks good on stream to figure that out. But I mean, there are definitely, there are people who have a lot of trouble getting, legitimate respect or props for being a good player because they happen to pull host. It has always been, a controversial almost thing in our community, and it makes a big difference in games. There are games where you can, swing from a mile away and everyone on the court is dead. And there are other ones where it is just such an uphill battle that, it does get frustrating. But it's a part of the game, and, most of us are okay with dealing it, and it does definitely, lend itself to some interesting drama from time to time. So, that can be good, I guess. It's at least fun to read in forums. And, it's at least we have, the whole neutral host thing to try and correct that a bit. And that being said, there's also, a couple other things with the Halo 4 implementation. We've gone back again, there's no health packs. So we have, your health will recharge most of the time. Well, there's two different game types. You'll get into this more next time, I know. But the shields and the no shields, and having both of those in matchmaking, that can definitely help throw off your game. And when you sprint, sometimes it is hard to get your hammer to swing in time, and you'll get some funky like clash sort of things going on, and hopefully in time that can all be fine-tuned. I know that there's been an on and off call for like, can we please have no sprint and have our old Halo back? But again, we're not going to get too far with that, with the whole passing of the ball, unless we get our assault bomb back too. So
right.
It's kind of like we need to beg for the whole world. And there's definitely a stigma. No one wants to be the bad guy, using a modded file or anything like that. And we responded to community members, and when we found out there was one, we let them know, and that really didn't go over too well. And we never wanted to go behind 343's back or anything, but this is a game that we are all pretty crazy over, and our thinking was it existed. Nobody did anything wrong to get their hands on this. None of us made it, and it was a very interesting experiment to try. And I would really love, I don't want to step on any toes. Our league doesn't want to step on any toes, and we just want to offer the community what it wants. And if it turns out that what they do want in the end is something closer to a return to the norm. I just hope that down the road, something like, the sprint or the instant respawn and toggles for those would just be absolutely incredible. Just to try the different things and the different combinations. I mean, Grifball is really a big game of rock, paper, scissors. You got ball beats hammer, hammer beats sword, sword beats ball. And that's kind of like the holy grail as far as we're concerned. If you can get that working and equal and fair, on most connections between most players, then that to us would be the ideal Grifball game type. Halo 4 was cool with the shields because it brought back sword clashing, which if you've ever done that in Halo 3 or now
Oh gosh.
my God, that is a joy. It's stressful too, and you never want to lose it, especially on like the 7th or 8th slash, but I mean, there's nothing quite like that.
Yeah, and there was always a guessing game of, okay, is he going to go for the full lunge or is he going to do the melee?
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like a rock'em sock'em boppers for Halo. I've always really enjoyed that, and I'm not much of a sword person, but if you play with the shields to enable the sword clashing and have that, then you're going to have a lot of hammer clashes as well. And you're going to have a lot of times where people swing at each other and no one dies and they just fly backwards across court instead. And no one's really a big fan of bounce back. So it's a tough call how we want to go forward. And if there were anything at all that could make it easier, it would be the more options. And I know we're not the only community that's, hoping and begging and asking for them. And,
Right, because I've even heard kind of similar complaints for stuff like CTF, where you can't drop the flag.
Exactly.
So the competitive community is all up in arms about being able to drop the flag if you have rockets in your backpack. But in my opinion, for something like that, that actually enforces more teamwork. So for a capture the flag, I don't mind having it when you pick up the flag, you commit to it. Now, there are some things where it's like having to pick up the flag when you touch it instead of having to hold extra something to pick it up, because there may be a case where you're by the flag but you don't want to pick it up and you have rockets or something, then you somehow pick it up. It's like, oh, well, now I can't defend myself and my plan of shooting the guy and then pulling the flag is now gone to hell.
Oh, exactly. I mean, in Grifball, we got a word for that, and it's called fishing. And now, if you're playing the default Grifball type, which I kind of wish the Grifball name had gone on the Grifball Pro one, because it's more like normal Grifball, but we'll just suffice it to say I'm making air quotes. In that game type with the auto pickup, it is more frustrating than anything to have, the ball cross your path, or to have someone throw the ball into your back and you don't even know it's coming. Or, one of those crazy, because that ball flies like it doesn't have a care in the world. It comes
yeah.
on the ceiling and there it is on you. And, that hammer swing that you were in the process of doing, oh, no. Don't worry about that. It's not really happening. It's really frustrating in that aspect. At least that's one of the things that we can toggle. But
yeah, and that's a really interesting subject, because there's a lot of different aspects, and this doesn't just apply to Grifball. This also applies to other game types of Halo. But there's kind of multiple viewpoints on doing certain things. So, like the auto pickup, some people would think that's probably the best idea in the world, and other people, probably more veteran people, would be like, no, I want to be able to hold X. But the priority should be of picking up an objective instead of getting into a vehicle.
Oh, definitely.
Like on Reach, whenever you would have someone drive a Warthog into the hemorrhage bases, have the override to pick up the flag instead of the driving the vehicle. That would be something a little bit smarter. Have that kind of override somehow.
Oh, definitely. There's nothing more frustrating with going to get in a vehicle or do something else with an action button and end up just dropping your power weapon and then having to look down and, hey, where'd I put that rocket? It should be around here somewhere, right? And that's always definitely been a frustrating thing. And to go back to the capture the flag, a friend of ours who we've known for a long time, he created, and most likely a fit of giggles if I know him, this great game type that we played in Reach. And it was basically stockpile with Grifball rules, 4 teams. And Grifpile, if you're ever back on Halo Reach, Dirty Birdie, his file share should still have it. It is an amazing experience. We've played it as a 2v2v2v2 and also as a 4v4v4v4.
Whoa.
And that 16-player game type, I've never seen something so crazy.
I'm sure.
Yeah, you've got hammers, you've got swords, and you've got 16 people running around with a flag. And I mean, I've never had so much fun in my life. But now come Halo 4, he comes and signs on. He is ready to recreate Grifpile because, I mean, our community really, really had a great positive reaction to it. And, you know, he takes a look at the settings in Capture the Flag, and because of the pistol thing, it doesn't make sense for us to create it because of, you know, what are you going to do with one pistol on a field of hammers and swords? Like, that greatly changes the point of the entire thing. And, you know, stuff like that is very frustrating. I have no trouble with the, you know, once you pick up the flag, you're stuck with it. You know, that's cool. You can deal with that. Flag passes were great, but, you know, they were also definitely used to troll some people and, you know, not necessarily the nicest thing in the world to do. And it's, you know, just a different option. But where Halo has always been that game where, you know, you can create these amazing things and pretty much do anything. You know, it's very frustrating to not have the same amount of options. And I mean, I would give anything to be able to bring back the things we've done before and, you know, create new things. But it does definitely feel like we're somewhat limited. And, you know, no one wants to be the bad guy and go ahead and do it anyway, you know, when you're not necessarily supposed to. But, you know, if it goes on long enough and, you know, things, you know, maybe stagnate or things like that, you know, we will definitely look into game types that maybe fell off a truck, we'll say. You know,
Okay.
well, that's how we got our no sprint Grifball. You know, we didn't go looking for it. We weren't the people that asked for it either. But to have that land on your doorstep when all three leagues are trying to develop a game type and open their subs and get a league going, and nobody is happy with any of the options that are coming out, and you know, you're tempted to put in Reach just so you can play Grifball as you know it, or you know, even worse, tempted to put in Halo 3 and play hours until you get it. You know, it definitely. We're definitely sort of purists. We are very much so, like sort of National League rules. You know, there's no designated hitter in Grifball, and you know it is very important to us all that the game feels right. And it took a good 6 months, if not more, in Reach for, you know, a consensus where everybody was happy with the status quo of the game type. And you know, while it was great for, you know, the general community at large in Halo to have things to try, you know, like Jetpack Grifball and the Blarg Ball, and
I loved Blarg Ball, but I hate Jetpack Grifball.
Jetpack Grifball, I shouldn't. No. I'm just we had a saying with Jetpack Grifball, actually Jump Pack Grifball, because that one infuriated me even more. But anyway,
Grifball Dash.
Grifball Dash was interesting thing too, and actually kind of an interesting example of working with the developers to change things. Like in Reach, when Grifball first hit, or not even before then, when the custom type game types were made for the first league, which was before matchmaking, they came out with something called Evolved, and it just had evade, and you could barrel roll in it. That horrible barrel roll. If you've ever been barrel rolled in matchmaking, you know what I'm talking about. It looks like a sort of glitchy move, is very difficult to, you know, get the timing down right to do it, and you can basically just glide across, you know, up to 2/3 of the court usually, and just go score the bomb. And when Evolved came to matchmaking as an option with the vanilla or regular Grifball, the barrel roll was allowed. It was, it was in the code. It was part of the game. But people, for whatever reason, didn't like it. And very quickly, once that playlist dropped, it was, edited by Bungie and taken out of there because there's no option. I mean, like, turn on barrel roll. Good luck if you don't know how to do it. So, that was that, and the barrel roll was gone. But then later down the road, kind of evolved into dash, where you added sprint to the mix, and then all of a sudden, there you go. You've got the barrel roll back again. It was definitely something that was able to be communicated and edited to, at least in my opinion, in the first change to promote, maybe fairer, more level playing field. And then Dash was just a beast in itself. Dash is a very special thing. I enjoy it, to some extent. I would never want to run a bomb, and it's so stressful.
I'm not a fan of it personally.
I like tanking in it, especially compared to sprinting in Halo 4 and tanking. Dash looks absolutely beautiful, but it was never my first choice, and I was always glad that vanilla was always the default. And then, if you ran with a party, you were definitely going to get what you wanted. And that's another thing that's frustrating about Halo 4. Like, I would really prefer it if the default was switched to the Pro, because that at least is the closer one to what people know as Grifball.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of why they're labeling it Pro, because that's what they're doing for, I think, kind of the CTF and the Slayer stuff. Or maybe I guess they could go along the route of doing Infinity Grifball and then making Grifball Pro Grifball.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the biggest deal in the world. I mean, you play a couple games of each, and you know what you like and what each one is. But that's just my personal. It's not a big deal whatsoever.
I personally don't mind either, because while I like the Pro version as it being Grifball as to the core as much as Grifball can be for Halo 4, I do like how the changes for Grifball and Halo 4 really just kind of give a different spin off of the game type. The ability to throw the ball, that changes the game completely, and it's fun to play for me.
Oh, definitely. There's nothing like catching the end zone pass and being the star of the game. It is a very I'm going to Disney World sort of feeling. It is not a bad thing. It is very cool when it works out. But it is very frustrating, especially in, say, a league game, where now a team is able to try and score and advance, and if they can't for whatever reason, or they get stuck, well, okay, throw the ball back to our spawn, and then we'll pick it up again when we instantly respawn, and we'll just pick up where we left off. Whereas before, a throw was something much more difficult and required skill and practice, and it wouldn't go very far. You had to really know what you were doing, and your teammates had to know that there was a chance that you were going to do that, because they would have to be close. And, in some ways it feels, sort of like a nerfing. And the sword, too, is definitely very, very different in the game types in matchmaking and in Halo 4. And,
okay.
It's not the same energy sword it used to be.
So, I guess kind of going through everything here, what's from, I guess, your community standpoint in terms of what you guys like or dislike? What's kind of the things that Halo 4 has introduced into Grifball that you like the most, and then what are the things that you wish that were the same from Halo 3 and Halo Reach? What are the kind of the big ticket items?
All right. Well, big ticket, the sprint thing, that it changes so many aspects of the game, especially when coupled with the ball. If there was, any way to snap your fingers and have the option to not sprint, have an assault bomb, and not be able to instantly respawn, I'm sure that we could find some sort of balance. And we have so many dedicated people that are, they will spend all night trying all the different increments on every setting in Forge, just to see if anything can possibly be improved. Like, we're not going to stop until we feel that we have the perfect game type to offer. And that's not just our league, that's the other ones too. I know the AGLA has worked a lot, and we've had people, working together and hopefully someday. But I mean, just losing those options and having changes forced upon us has really it's been difficult. And as a result of that, and there was supposed to be some coordination between the leagues to create their official game types and then suggest what they had found, to 343. But in the end, people, at least Grifball people, they weren't happy with what they saw when they, stuck the disc in. And, going through the options, it wasn't a very easy process to get anything done. And people got frustrated and sort of wandered away for a while. A lot of them have come back for matchmaking, but, it was hard. And as a result, all three leagues pretty much independently created a game type, and they're all fairly similar, but all notably different. And, it's frustrating for players to be expected to play, 3-4 different game types there have been now already. And to have, the people in charge of these groups not be able to agree on what is the most fair or what is the most fun or, the best combination of the two, that has definitely been, stressful and something that, I don't like to give excuses and, don't like to say, we aren't sure we're going to go with this forever or, even for very long, but, it's what we have and it's the best we can do. I hate kind of giving up on that best we can do, but even though the Grifball and matchmaking is fun and, I enjoy it for what it is, for sure, that's not any issue that I'm bringing up to play. It's just, it's not to the people who played, 10,000 or more games of matchmaking in Reach, for instance. There were quite a few of those people. It just doesn't feel the same. It's not.
Well, it's definitely not the same.
Yeah, but, like people from Halo 3, for example, when Halo Reach dropped, I mean, they came down on Halo Reach really hard. Some people wouldn't play in the leagues until the end of the game, and it was just so fundamentally different. And, oh my God, how can we ever deal with this? But those same people, now that they've come to the set of options we have in Halo 4, a lot of them are of the mindset that, the jump from 3 to Reach was nothing now compared to the jump from Reach to 4. And, it's not like we're afraid of new things. Our community definitely has a lot of fun things. We have like Grif Goose tournaments. That's Grifball on a mongoose. That was made by another league that, the IGL, the International Grifball League, who kind of, helps out all the other teams across the world who might not want to play on our American time zones. And actually, I should probably say welcome to them too. They're moving in today to our forums. We're going to be their new home for a little while.
Oh, so cool.
They can grow and, they'll use our forums and our signups and our stats and stuff. And we really hope to do some cool things with them and work together in the future. So it's kind of a big day today. So welcome, guys. And, they made this, people are sort of like, rabidly into this game. And, Grif Goose is sort of like a cult thing. And, with the Grif Pile and, there are basketball variants and football variants and all sorts of different things that we've come up with over the years in Grifball. And, just to see the opportunities for things like this, for the creativity, for the collaboration, just to see those things kind of fall away in some aspects with some of the options that we were given in Forge. It's definitely been a letdown. And if there were anything at all like that, just more options for us to play with so that we can keep tinkering until we get, just epic Grifball. That's what we'll name it when we get there. It will just be epic
Grifball.
Because, people love that. We all love terms like epic and swag and things like that. But, aside from that, really, joining in progress, probably not the best idea. It definitely makes for some interesting games and party splittings and things like that, but I'm sure we'll find more anecdotal evidence as time goes on and be able to determine, if it really is that big of a deal or not.
I would figure joining in progress would actually be a little bit more beneficial to Grifball.
Well, yes and no, because, and with Grifball, at least in the other communities and leagues, especially the or Grifball Hub, stat padding has become this, big, big, big no-no. And for people who haven't boosted their stats in this way before, stat padding is basically where you get to the other team's spawn and you stand there and you know where their spawns are because there are 4 spawns in reach and 3, and you just swing your hammer and you are good to go. If you get a guy on either side, you will force the people to spawn on those 2 spawns, and you have one guy stand a little bit out from the bomb plate, and there you go. You're going to make that team miserable. Some of these people will even go as far as to have all 4 team members stand on their spawns and force them to spawn in Forge World. It definitely became, an ego thing and a bad boy thing and a stat boosting thing, and it's very much so looked down upon in the other parts of the community. We're into free speech and, being able to do what you want, but we do set, very clear lines, when you cross the line into something that would actually be, illegal in real life. If you're harassing or something like that, then you would be in trouble with us. But if you're being a jerk in an online game, it stinks. It would be great if nobody wanted to be a jerk, but the fact of the matter is people play games as an escape, and the way Griftball is, the way it exists, it's inevitable that something like that is going to happen. So with that, in Halo 4 now, you have join in progress. What's one of the main reasons you're going to join in progress? Because a team quit out because they're getting stat padded. There have been changes to the spawning system, and the instant respawn does definitely make it more difficult. But I have some close friends who are definitely on the dark side of Griftball, unapologetically, still great people, whatever. But I hear from them that, they've already figured out, where they need to stand to do what they want to do. You make a kid quit out now, chances are you're going to get another one to come into the game. So for a community that has, or at least the community that's in charge of the playlist, to be so against something and, sort of try to make changes. Now there are 6 spawns on each back wall instead of 4. So if you're getting stat padded in one spot, you might spawn behind that person and be able to pop them in the back when you spawn. But, that doesn't always work out. And it's weird to see how, you try and prevent it in one way, but then the game settings in another way kind of sort of promote it. So where it has been such a hot button issue in our community, it's sort of awkward, and I'll be interested to see how it plays out in the future. I don't want anybody to have a bad time in Halo, in Grifball. That's not what, we're trying to promote or make acceptable. But, at the end of the day, it is a game and you can quit. And the real trick is if you pay attention to how these people are, doing what they're doing, it's quite easy to get out of the situation if you think about it and work as a team. And the other thing too is with the ball now being able to throw back and forth, I've actually seen game films where people have been held back and the other team is on their spawn and basically playing keep away. It's just a 12-minute game of pickle. So, it'll definitely be interesting. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly how it will work out. I don't know how many people are out there to get their killionaires and their sprees or anything like that, and how many are there to play the game and score. But there's definitely still, if you were to say look on Twitter for search results for Grifball, you're going to find just as many people who are taking pictures of their TV to show their medals as there are people who are like, yes, I scored 4 bombs in 2 minutes and, it was a great, awesome game. People there are different things that people take from Grifball. People play it differently. And it's just the whole new implementation I think it might end up being a bit of a powder keg to see what happens as time goes on, if the playlist stays the way it is exactly, and we'll see. It's definitely up in the air right now, and
well, the playlist is still young in its age.
Definitely is a baby.
Yeah. I'm personally one of those of the opinion where if you're not there to play the game, if you're stat padding or playing keep away, then it's not a fun experience. That's my personal take on the whole stat padding thing.
And I can totally agree with that. It's not something. I mean, I'm lucky. I've got a lot of Grifball friends. I rarely, if ever, search alone, say. And I don't have people who are AFK or have just no idea what they're doing and they're looking for their DMR. It doesn't happen to me very often, but I've seen it, and I know what a crappy feeling it is to be in like a sniper's game and spawn 5 times in a row and just get headshotted. It's definitely frustrating, but in that regard, it's been a part of Halo since day one. Whether it's a good thing or not, it's always been there, and there have always been people that will find one way or another to exploit the game to play to their liking. And it it is definitely, everybody has a different opinion on it, and I don't know that we'll ever totally agree. And I'm not sure that you could ever modify the game to, explicitly disallow it or make it impossible. People will still find ways to be a jerk. I mean, this is Halo Land of the teabag.
Right.
It's never going to go away. And I sort of wish that people would maybe adopt the mindset of, oh, woe is me, this guy is standing here and not scoring the ball, and maybe change that thought process to like, wow, this guy is a jerk. And, I need to start thinking of different things that I can try to get out of this situation. And with the passing, if you sneak one guy out of the spawn and you want to end the game and, play it legit or whatever, you even have more tools now to be able to kind of get around a spawn trap, and you have more opportunities to make something happen. And let me tell you too, for people that have been stat padded before and are really, just not okay with the whole thing, there is nothing that frustrates the stat padders more than having people, get out and score the balls and play the game legit despite their best efforts and end up being, whether you're successful and you win the game or not, just by not allowing them to do what they're trying to do, you're winning a victory and you're becoming a better player overall. Stat padding is a lot like what a normal push is like to score the ball in a league game. If it's not a pass, hopefully you have most of your tanks leading your bomb and you are pushing into the goal. And you're going to have people running along the spawns in that instant to make sure that the way is clear. And hopefully no one instantly respawns like with a hammer pointed at your bomb carrier's back. That's another thing people are not too keen about right now. But, it has valid uses in legitimate play. And it's such a fine line, and generally it's defined as, not a certain number of kills or a certain amount of time without scoring the bomb. It's literally defined in other leagues, or I think just one now, as don't be a douche. So it's just a very difficult thing for me to sign off on such a gray area and just outright condemn it. I've always thought of it as a challenge, and nothing makes me happier than, someone who's trying to ruin my day. Well, I'm going to ruin your day. But there's no better feeling when you get out of a game like that. If we can, maybe change the general attitude and response to the situation, then we're going to get a lot more like excellent tanks, really good hammer people that know their timing and know how to spin and swing and be successful. And, we're going to come up with new tactics to be sneaky and crafty and get out of situations with, the changes in the game as they are. I kind of see it as an opportunity for things to get better. And that's why, we accept people who admittedly, play the game that way. And if they would like to come and play in a season of one of our leagues, they're more than welcome to. They're not allowed to do it in a game because we consider that would be disrespectful. It would be...
Yeah, it's different from just playing casually to playing in a league game.
In a league, so that could be a really, really bad thing. So and a lot of times, like I personally have had several former stat padders on my teams over the years, And, they come and play and they're like, wow, this league Grifball is like even better than, I thought it would be, but I never thought I could be accepted here because, I used to play in the middle of the night with some kids who, maybe didn't play the game so honestly. And, I never felt that I could play before. And, that's why we've got our arms wide open. That's why our slogan is Grifball for all. We're kind of like, I don't want to say missionaries, but we go out to the different people who don't play Grifball, people who think they hate Grifball, people who play Grifball in a way that is not at all comparable with league play. And we've had a lot of success, in bringing people into the fold. And, it adds a new dimension to the game. The skills that these people have change the way that a team will play. And, the more the merrier, the more we can learn and grow, the better. And I'm just of the mindset in general in life, when you have a problem, instead of dwelling on it, why not try to find a way and make some lemonade out of those lemons? It there's got to be a light at the end of the tunnel, and I don't think it's going to be that we change the psychology of the people who are going into matchmaking that want to do these things. But if, with open arms as a Grifball community, we can show them that, there is another option. And
Right.
we do have a lot of fun. And if, you think it's a great feeling to go positive 3 digits in a game or something like that, well, it's an even greater feeling to have to work for those kills and maybe still go positive at the end of a game and, score 4, 5, 6, 7, well, not 4 because you would lose, but 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 goals, against a team that is, stronger in some ways or have been playing together longer or things like that. There's just as much thrill in playing by our old time rules, as there might be from, being a bad boy and, doing what you do. So, that's why our stance is the way it is. A lot of people have come to us and, how can you accept these people and yada, yada, yada. But, no community is perfect. There are reasons that people act the way they act. And I mean, we've always been, at least my husband Shadow and I, of the mindset that, everybody deserves a chance. You should get to know somebody before you judge them. And some of the most hated, most frequently banned league Grifball players who turn to stat padding out there, some of them are our greatest friends. Like, they are the nicest, sweetest people that you could ever meet. But they have, either other friends or they find it fun or they find it challenging. Some of them, they take it to their own sport. And, it is what it is, and it's not going to go anywhere no matter what we do. I mean, it's America. I think we've proven that a few times over already.
Yeah.
Grifball prohibition is not going to work. Let's just that road. And I hope for a future where, we can have, longtime league people reaching out to those who really enjoy matchmaking and want to get better at defending from situations like that. We're about to set up a mentoring program for our next season and, hook up new teams and their captains with some veteran players who'd be willing to show them the ropes and introduce them to people and things like that. And, community mixers too. It has definitely come up before when we've been playing with other communities who don't play Grifball much. And, they're like, hey, guys, like, what is going on here exactly? Like, what do we do about this? And, we've been able to kind of explain things and show them, a few little tips and tricks. And then, you don't really hear the complaints anymore. And, it just becomes part of a game. Like, remember those games back in Halo 2 where you would just spawn in the sky and fall and die? And that would be your entire game for 15, 16 minutes, whatever it was. Now, that was, like, incredibly frustrating and outright hack. But it was still part of the game. And I kind of fondly remember it. Like, when, what is the name of it in this game? The Standout? The Lockout remake?
Oh, Shutout.
I always say standout. I don't know why that's not even a real phrase. But anyway.
Because it stands out. Ba-doom-tsh.
Yeah, there you go. It stands out in my mind because every time I load that map, even remade for the third or fourth time now as it is, I want to go and I want to run down the ramp and I want to do a super jump and then I want to reminisce about, the way things used to be. And, things that were really frustrating at the time, they're just not a big deal anymore. They're just, it's kind of like walking barefoot in the snow uphill both ways to school sort of deal. That's just for our generation. The story is definitely going to become more internet based. Like, did you know when we were your age, Facebook and Twitter were not the same exact thing, and we had to go different places or use third-party applications to be able to use all our social media? Oh God, it was horrible. They're going to sound like the biggest babies when our kids are older, like when our generation grows up.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, but
so from you already covered a couple of things that are kind of what you see as a detriment to Grifball. What are some of the new things that you really find as a good, new, fresh take on the game type?
Well, the first one kind of contradicts the way you phrased it there, but a lot of, the looks of the game and in some ways the feel of the game, it definitely feels and looks more like Halo 3 than Reach in a lot of ways. And that has meant a lot to a lot of people in our community. And, even if it's just a style thing, and there's definitely some gameplay things and some setting things that are, more like the old days. And that has been, something that has been a definite positive, without question. Having it be its own game type and playlist, and that is just an amazing, validation of all the time that we've spent pent up in our little playlist, and knowing that, all those MLG kids like Grifball, what a joke, it definitely, for people who have been there the whole 5 years and have, gone online and sat around trying to get 8 people in a party together to play customs because that's all there was to play. There was no matchmaking. The people, who went got their whole LAN party on, with people in real life to get some Grifball in because it was, the easier way to do it. It's nice to have that validation for those people, and I mean, we're all still around because we love it. We're all nuts over Grifball. It's just a part of us, and to be able to so easily share that with everybody else, just it's gotten so much press and publicity, and it's just right there in your face, and people are noticing it. And the stats for the playlist definitely suggest that people are there and they're playing it, and they're playing it a lot, and there's nothing better. What we love, we would love for everybody to love. So, just to have that opportunity out there, that's amazing. What else would be?
So, is there anything like game functionality specific? Like, is the ability to throw the ball something that people are really interested in, or the fact that you can now sprint with the hammer, the sprint being built in, or like is there something that specifically is new in there that people are excited about? Not necessarily being that it's what old Grifball is like, but it's a new twist on things that people are actually very interested in seeing.
Passing is definitely the one thing that I hear the most. There are some people that, wish that the thought had never crossed anybody's mind, but it's really starting to win people over. And there are some teams that I would speculate have pretty much perfected their passing game, for the game types that we have right now. And I mean, it can be embarrassing when they get out on the court. They just, it adds a new dimension of the game. Now you always have to watch your back wall. It was never such a big deal before, but that pass, it is so frustrating to get passed on from across the court, and it is a great feeling to pass the ball and score when they just have no idea that you're going to do it.
Personally, I think it's ingenious.
It is really, really fun. I totally admit that I was on the fence about it, and I didn't know what I would think of it, and I'm not one to really run the ball very much, but I am one to tank and try and clear the plate for my team, so I have been the recipient of a few beautiful passes, and I have a few offers to practice passing with some people, actually, that I made this weekend, and I'm actually really psyched about that. I want to get around and throw the ball and try and get better with it and understand it, and unfortunately with the passing game, like it sort of validates the sprint setting being there, which a lot of people really don't care for. It is there's definitely some play with coming out of sprint and swinging your hammer. It's not always the most consistent thing in the world. And, you know, we're definitely really, really nitpicky if you haven't noticed by the things I've been complaining about. But, it is what it is. And if we do get to have no sprint at some point, we would definitely have to go a whole new route with damage and speed and health and all that to try and equalize the passing. Unless, we had a variant with an assault bomb in the future. But I do really like the passing, even with the ramifications and the other changes in gameplay that go with it. It is a lot of fun, and it does definitely bring a lot of new people into the game and into the playlist and give them something that they really enjoy. You can be Tom Brady in Grifball now if you want to. You can do whatever you want. It adds a whole nother level, and I think that it will definitely fundamentally change the game on the league level and bring a whole bunch of new people in general. And you can't ask for anything more than that. That is the nature of evolution and things getting better. And I think that in the end, that will definitely be the big positive plus of Halo 4. Even if we did in the future have the opportunity to modify it, I'm willing to bet by that point it would kind of be viewed as, old timers
standard
point. It wouldn't be too flashy. I'm sure it would be fun to play without it again, but at the same time, it's definitely been, as far as change goes, because gamers love change. That was
yeah.
probably the easiest to swallow in the end, and just deal with it, because even if in some instances it's a disadvantage to your team, at the same time you can by accident do the same thing to the other team. If anything, though, with the ball being the way it is, the ability it has to be knocked around by a hammer swing or even a sword slice can knock the ball across the court in optimal conditions or not optimal conditions to us Grifball people, I would think.
Okay.
It's different. It's definitely different. People that have been playing the whole time Grifball has been around have totally essentially been caught with their pants down because of the passing thing. And, maybe that's a good thing to be shaken up like that. And Grifball has definitely been getting into an era of the God Squad team, where you have all these awesome people that used to battle each other for the championship every season, and now they're just teaming up. And with the passing game, it kind of evens up the playing field. There are definitely a lot of ways to get around, that team coordination and the court awareness and, the familiarity with just the gameplay in general. So, and as far as things go, I'm willing to give the thumbs up to the passing at this point. I'm not willing to see my assault bomb back in the future, because I'm the only person who just could not buy the Grifball plushie the last time it was on sale. I wanted to so badly, but it was before Christmas, and I have 2 little girls. I couldn't do it. I was a Christmas present for them, and I love my assault bomb, and I want it back, in some time. So, either, Gods of Grifball, have one of those plushies show up on my door and I'll stop complaining about it. Or, maybe in the future. And Assault itself, I miss Assault so much. I used to have so much fun in that game type, and I don't really know why it went away, and I would love for it to come back. And, we'll take it from there when we get to that road. And the point is, the bottom line, Grifball is changing and it's evolving, and there's definitely some growing pains going on right now. But a lot of the people behind this community, a lot of the people behind the scenes whose names you would never hear anyway, because they don't really care for the recognition. They just want the game to be better. There are so many people pulling for this game to be awesome and amazing, and make some people think that maybe this is more fun than these gun things. This is actually pretty cool. We would love to turn regular Halo people into Grifball addicts. That would be amazing. But we're always growing, we're always changing. At least with my league, we'll take anybody who will come and play the game with us. And we've seen since the playlist dropped, people have been coming to the site a lot more frequently, registering. People want to play. They'll sign up for an account and want like a league match without having a team right now. Like, where are my players and where is my match? Because I want to play Grifball. And I love that you can't ask for any more than that. And things will definitely continue to change, and I'm sure interesting game types will come about, and we'll have a lot of fun in the process. And the rest of the Halo community is always welcome to come and join us. And what's good for Halo is good for Grifball, and what's good for Grifball is good for Halo. And did I say that the same way twice? I hope I didn't. But in any case,
no, you said it right.
I did say it right. Yes. Okay. I was worried about that one. But
it's getting late. We've rambled on a lot. We've rambled on a lot.
You said it. You said you did promise to cut me off.
I know.
But I guess maybe I didn't get too crazy then. You can send all the comments and I'll find out.
No, it's all good.
Never mind. We'll see. But
it's all good. All right.
It is all good, and that's really, and there's nothing more I can say. It's all good, and I see things getting even better. So if you're not a Grifball person, come and check it out. Matchmaking is not too difficult to do, and I'm pretty sure you'll have a little bit of fun at least. And if you do have a bad game, give it another try. It's not always perfect. It's like any other game type in the game. It can happen. And there are plenty of leagues and groups and people and ambassadors of our community and so many ways to get involved. And we would always love to have people, and I know the other leagues would too. And keep an eye on Grifball. It's the sport of the future. I totally predict MLG as soon as they pick Halo up again. Low blow. Oh my god.
All right.
All of Halo. All right.
So, you want to plug your stuff again before we wrap this up?
Yeah, we have a few things coming up. First of all, we're at grifball.net. I'm going to get in trouble because I mentioned Shadow and Boss, and I should really probably mention our other admin, Rage, and our new admin today. And I hope you decide to stay with us, Mr. Active Hate. We also have a bunch of awesome staff members, and I promise you I'll get on another podcast and do the whole like Emmys and Oscar speech some other time. But this is really, I can see the Skype clock. We've been talking for a long time. But you're all awesome. And that being said, we have forums, we have chat, we have ways to find teams, ways to find games. We have our league action right now. We're in the semifinals now of our first Halo 4 league. And we announce all of our streams on our Twitter account, which is at GrifballNet. And every one of our playoff games is live streamed, so these will all be up. That's also announced on the grifball.net site. And then after that, we'll have an all-star game, which will probably be pretty funny to see. And we have a lot of events in the works. We have a draft rush or it might be actually, by the time this comes out, we had a draft rush the other day, and it was really awesome. We'll say that instead. And we've got a big tournament coming up we're doing with the real forums. There's information for that on our site, and there are cash prizes for the winners, but there are only a few spots left, so hurry. And, other than that, we're always looking for ideas and opinions and suggestions, and whatever you have to say about Grifball, we would love to hear it and, hope to make it, a reality or better, whatever it is. And we are definitely committed to working with everybody. It is Grifball for all in our mind, and that's why we're there. So come say hi sometime, and thank you so much for having me on today, and I hope that I hope we gave the episode 343, a good run for its money. I think we had some laughs and stuff, and I think we did all right.
Yeah, I think it's all right. Well, a little longer than expected, but
longer. Yep, definitely. That's probably the girl factor.
It's all good. It's all good.
No, thank you very much, and definitely, if there's anything that, yeah, no, that's kind of a dead train of thought there.
All right.
Bad, the ramble. So
I'll take care of the outro. How about that?
all right, even better. Thank you.
All right, so we want to thank SquirrelBurrito for coming on to our show again, giving us a little bit of background behind the evolution of Grifball. As you've heard, definitely things have changed since it was invented in Halo 3, gone through changes in Halo Reach, and now we have it in Halo 4. So it's really interesting to see where this game type has come through, how it's aged, and it's kind of entering a new era now with Halo 4. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that really develops. And definitely check out a Grifball League. SquirrelBurrito is with the National Grifball Association. That's one of the many leagues that are out there. I know from the state side, there's also the American Grifball League of America. That's the AGLA. And then there's Grifball Hub, which we're good friends with. There's also some international ones, like the one that Squirrel mentioned, the IGA, and then there's the EGL, the European Grifball League. There's plenty of leagues out there. Just search for Grifball, and you're bound to find a place to call home. So definitely give it a try if you haven't. It's one of those game types where I feel it's kind of hit or miss with some people, but if you give it enough time, you'll catch the disease, so to speak.
You most definitely will. I'm not only a president or an admin, I guess. I'm a client. So trust me, you'll get it.
Yep. So thank you guys for listening. Make sure you check us out on our website, podtacular.com, and you can submit any stories, any questions that you have of anything we possibly talked on here. Anything Halo related, go ahead and send that over to us at submissions@podtacular.com or use the green button on our homepage. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and on YouTube. We have pages all over there. You can also participate in Monday Night Matchmaking, which happens every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, where we go into matchmaking hoppers. And the new one for this week is going to be Team Doubles. Since we kind of do parties, we're not going to be diving into that one, so we'll probably do some Grifball again, and if the party's big enough, we'll do some Big Team Infinity Slayer. So definitely check that out on Mondays. I mentioned on the last show that we are interested in seeing what you guys think about doing something like Wacky Wednesdays, where we do some custom games on Wednesday nights. So definitely give us some feedback on that if you would like. Our podcast survey is still open. We would appreciate any and all feedback you guys have to offer. You can find that over at podtacular.com/survey. We also announced the return of our voicemail, which is 240-200-HALO. That's 240-200-4256. And you can leave a message over there regarding any Halo information, maybe some tales that you want to talk about that you had in Halo 4, some funny moments, any Halo news, maybe something that you're working on that you would like us to talk about. Definitely drop us a line over there. Keep it no more than 2 minutes. And with that said, thank you again, SquirrelBurrito, for coming on our show, and we will see you guys next time.